CNN, Philadelphia.
So many questions, legal questions particularly about this. I want to bring in my legal panel, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Jeffrey Gold, and also attorney Brian Kabatek joins me live. Jeff, I want to begin with you. You know, I think a lot of people would say, aren't we allowed to parent the way we want? Am I not allowed to use faith if that's what I believe is the most powerful tool to heal a child? What does the law say?
Well, the law says just because you have a religious belief that sacrificing children is part of your religion, you can't do it. And that's what's going on here, Ashleigh. These people knew about it. I questioned probation, who was supposed to watch over these people, and perhaps ask them a few questions as time went on as to what their religious beliefs were as to this child. This whole case will come down to the defense saying it was only 3 days that the 8-month-old child was sick, and that's not enough to know. And the prosecutor will say, wait a minute. We have a prior bad act. You just did the same thing before. You can't sacrifice your children, and that's what these people did.
And you mentioned it. It's astounding that 10 years probation was all they got for the death of that child who died in almost identical circumstances. They have 7 additional children who are now being looked after by the state. Brian, maybe tell me this. Why would you only get 10 years probation for what was considered involuntary manslaughter back then, when nowadays, and I get it, there's the prior bad act, they're being charged with murder in the 3rd degree?
I don't know. It seems to me to be a very lenient sentence for somebody who did something that's pretty horrific with respect to their children. Of course, the first time a case like this comes up, you know, there's all kinds of defenses you can raise at that time. You can say, hey, we didn't know the child was that sick. We had belief in our faith. We thought that the child was going to turn around, that it was going to turn the corner. There's almost like an ignorance defense. We didn't know any better. But this judge put him on 10 years of probation, and one of the terms of that probation was that the children get routine medical care. If the children get sick, they get to a doctor as quickly as possible. These people had 7 children. This child, 8-month-old child, was sick for 3 days. I don't think the defense that the husband's lawyer, the father's lawyer, is trying to assert here, which is, you know, 3 days, hey, he didn't know any better, he just thought the child would turn the corner, is going to fly, especially in light of probation. Once you're on probation, that is a court order.
Well, and just real quick, Jeff, if you got about 10 seconds on this, in that state, the 3rd degree statute requires that you prove malice. Is anyone in a court of law going to be able to prove that these grieving parents, I think they're grieving, I think that's fair to say they're grieving, were actually acting with malice when they prayed?
Well, I think what they're going to find is that the state will able to use the prior act to show that they had intent, maybe not malice per se, but intent, that they knew what they were doing, and they had experience. The other child died as well. So I think they can show intent in this case.
All right, thanks very much. Brian and Jeff, both of you, if you could stay put for a second. I had a little bit of breaking news. I'm going to revisit you guys in a moment. But first, I got to tell you that down in